Is a Coby White trade looming, and Lonzo Ball has been extended? We'll talk about all that and more in today's episode of the Chicago Bulls Breeze. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Bulls. Our Bulls fans talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. A lot of questions happening around the Chicago Bulls team, as it seems like the Chicago Bulls could possibly be in talks to move Coby White. Now, this is not the Bulls reaching out to teams. This is teams reaching out to Bulls, per Casey Johnson. He tweeted this out about an hour ago, talking about Orlando, among other teams, have called the Chicago Bulls on Coby White, per Ian Bagley. Do the Bulls start the teardown process now? It will be expensive to extend both White and Ayo Dosunmu after next season, and we have about 5 hours to go until the deadline today. And here's my thing, right? Like, it's kind of the point that I said about Lonzo. First off, if you're able to get assets, Coby White, let's start from the asset perspective of this, and then I'll go into my point on kind of the Bulls mindset here with the front office. But the assets side of things, listen, Coby White is somebody who actually can net you assets, and I think that is not something that you should overlook. Coby is on a very team-friendly deal, still has another year left on that deal for any team that you would trade to him. And you look at that Orlando Magic team, and again, it is a team of young players and draft picks. Now, they've got a first-round pick via Denver that is 1 through 5 protected, which I think you're pretty safe if the Bulls were going to go out and get their own that pick there. And there's also a 2025 first-round pick for Orlando that is their own. So trying to acquire more picks, I think, in this year's draft is the way to go. Now, of course, you'd have to add some players in there to make the money work. But again, not a ton of money. Coby's only making about $12 million here against the cap this season. It's not like you're sitting there spending, right? It's not like a team has to break the bank. But with the kind of player that Coby White is, could you get some top tier draft capital out of him this season? I don't know if you'd be able to get that Orlando pick out of them, just because of some of the struggles that they have gone through this season, and they're trying to hit the ground running going into the next iteration of this, going post-trade deadline. Can you make a push here to move up a little bit more in this playoff run and give yourself a little bit more firepower heading into the playoffs? But either way, I think you're in a good situation to really get some solid draft capital out of this. And I'm not talking about second round picks for once with one of the players that the Bulls have moved on from. This is a situation where the Bulls actually can operate from a position of power. And I do wonder if the move that we saw made yesterday maybe goes into the conversation on why you could see Coby White end up getting moved. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that the Chicago Bulls should trade Coby White? Do you think that this is a move that makes sense? The big question on Coby for me is the inconsistencies. We see Coby White last night, I mean, absolutely balling out of his mind, right? Like there are moments where he catches a heater and he's just an absolute game changer. And then there's other moments where it just goes cold. And that's kind of what you saw. I mean, Coby White had 17 points in the first half of this game. He finished the second half with 3, and he finished out the game shooting 2 for 5, right? Like it's not the situation that you want to see or have a heavy reliance on, right? I think that's kind of the point here. Can you rely heavily on Coby White for the points that he scores, for the times when he's hot, for the times where he's great, right? You're going to have to pay him for that. And it's going to be a sizable contract. It's going to be an expensive contract. Is that something, if you're the Chicago Bulls, that you want to tie yourself to? Coby White, depending on how the deal gets done, I can be very convinced on keeping Coby White. I'm not out on Coby. I think that, again, young player, somebody who's a solid scorer, somebody who hasn't been put in the best positions all the time. And you look at last night when he was scoring at his best, right? It was when he was when he had the ball in his hand. It was just operating under his own power. We haven't seen that as much this season because of Josh Giddey, because of Lonzo Ball being in that lineup. And again, what does Coby White look like in a lineup that's not 4 point guards on the floor as well? You know, that's you got 4 point guards and Vooch essentially going to war. Yesterday, you got a little bit more with Modest playing that power forward position, but you know, to me, the longevity around Coby, I think you've got a proven player. You know he's going to be about 18 to 20 points. You know there's going to be those times where he's scoring the ball at a high clip. You know there's going to be those times where he kind of flatlines, and you saw kind of the best of both worlds yesterday in that moment where you needed a little bit extra. And the Bulls as a whole didn't shoot well, but you just weren't able to get that little bit of extra that you needed out of a Coby White in that moment, and you could rely on him. And you definitely can't rely on him on a consistent basis defensively. So again, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Should the Chicago Bulls hold on to Coby White, or could he be somebody who was moved at the trade deadline? Also got to talk about the fact that Lonzo Ball got extended yesterday, and I think that is an interesting conversation. Me and Hayes had this discussion over on Locked On Bulls, and I think this does go into the Coby White conversation as well. What is your future with this team? And what I mean by that is I'm not looking at Coby White. I'm not looking at Lonzo, because Lonzo gets a 2-year, $20 million deal, team option in the second year. First year, you're talking about a team-friendly deal. He's making essentially no money on this deal. And, you know, I'm not losing my mind one way or the other about the deal itself. What's really got me confused about the Lonzo Ball contract is the conversation around the future of this team is, what direction are you trying to pick? You trade away Zach LaVine to say, we're going to try and get worse and we're going to move on. And then you hold on to a player like Lonzo Ball, who was a part of that previous iteration of this team that, yeah, it was working well when he was healthy. And guess what? Right now, he is very healthy. But yet again, when we're talking about the future, the Chicago Bulls refuse to learn from the past. I think that the past shows you. We watched 3 years of Zach and DeMar together, and everybody went, oh my goodness, are they going to run this back again? They ran it back for 3 straight years. They finally move on from Zach LaVine. You saw 2.5 years of Lonzo Ball being injured. You saw 30 games of him being healthy, and you're like, all right, bet, let's re-sign him. Let's keep this thing going. He's finally playing healthy. Let's take advantage of this. I get it. If he's healthy, it's a great contract. I love what Lonzo brings to the Bulls. I love the defensive intensity. I love the ball movement. I love everything about what Lonzo Ball, the player, is. But you're signing guys that history would tell you are not going to be able to play through this contract. You're signing guys that history would tell you are not going to be on the floor when you need them the most. And listen, the Bulls are nowhere near a playoff spot, so having a veteran on this team that is the IQ, high IQ, great mindset that Lonzo is, I love it. But you have to build a lot of what you're trying to do around Lonzo Ball. And I'm talking about if this does play into that second year, right? You have to build a lot of what you're trying to do around Lonzo Ball. And if Lonzo Ball ends up getting hurt yet again, like we've seen him do many a times, that throws off the equation of everything that you were trying to build here. If he is the guy, and listen, when he's healthy, he's the best point guard on the floor. He is. When he's healthy, he's the best point guard on the floor. And I understand, right? Like, this is AK's Jamal Murray. That's what this is. This is AK's Jamal Murray. We wanted to trust Jamal. We're going to wait for him to come back. And guess what? He comes back, you pay him, he wins a championship, and it's all worth it in the end. And yet now we have seen Jamal Murray kind of continuously be in and out of the lineup since that championship. We have seen Jamal Murray kind of be, what's he got? He's been relatively healthy this season, 45 games this season, played 59 games last season, 65 games in 2022, 48 games in 2021. I'm talking about Jamal Murray here. You got lightning in a bottle out of his career for one season. And since then, it has been the inconsistencies, the injuries, the in and out of the lineup, all of that. And to me, I just feel like the Lonzo Ball conversation is kind of the same thing. It's kind of that same situation. He's a good player. You can see the talent. You can believe in the talent. You know what he's going to be able to bring to the floor every time he's on the floor. The question is not that. The question is, will he be on the floor? And for me, I don't like allocating funds. I don't like allocating roster spots to guys that I have a question not on ability, but on availability. Both things can be true. I love this contract for Lonzo. I think that this is a good contract for Lonzo Ball, the player. I do not think that this is a good contract for the Bulls moving forward. I do not think that this is a good contract that lets me know that my front office isn't looking at the past and going, maybe it can still work, because that is what has gotten us into this position in the first place. But again, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Of course, if there's any breaking news, I will try my best to get a video up here as the news breaks or go live. I got to run down to ESPN because I'm doing the Chicago Bears podcast with Yurko today. So doing it a day early. So tap in if you're a Bears fan over on the Chicago Bears podcast as well. But I'll be around here for any breaking news that should come to the Chicago Bulls. And we're trying to keep you as updated as possible on the Chicago Bulls breeze. And y'all know me, I'll drop a phone video if it's super breaking news and I got the time, man. But hey, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. See Red Nation, stand up. Peace.